Good evening. I hope that folks aren't hoping for some high level of grand wisdom tonight because I don't even know what to think. Um, I sit back and I watch all of this stuff unfold, and it gets to a point to where you're like, well, what the hell is going to happen next? And I think that's kind of where I'm at least for the time being. This moment, which could change in a matter of minutes, actually. But I'm looking at all of these different, I don't know, we'll call them chess pieces, wondering which one's going to make its move. And because that's important. In my opinion, the more imminent threat that is to us individually, because that could be different for each one of us, the more imminent threat is what you want to focus on. And I still think, for the time being, our most imminent threat, our biggest concern, is actually from within. Now, that could be within the government, within the populace, but from within. But that can change on a moment's notice. All it takes is miscommunication, accidents, you name it. Things done on purpose. This situation, and I'm referring to the foreign war situation, or the possible foreign war situation, it is really, truly on pins and needles. And any little thing could flare up conflict in multiple different places around the world. But even though that is very likely, a high possibility, I'll say, I still think the more immediate threat is going to be from within. We've got a mess on our hands in this country. We are just, we're not even seeing the beginning of all of this yet. And I'm talking about the mandates in particular. We haven't even seen the beginning of what's going to happen yet. Now the media is actually reporting that Southwest employees are protesting. It's actually, I've got it in the headlines. So all these narratives, all these official fake news stories are coming crumbling down. And they're going to continue to. As they continue to come tumbling down, the populace is going to get more and more aggravated, more and more frustrated, and also more and more empowered, because they're doing everything they can to make folks feel like they're alone. Because they want to make their own choices, because they want control over their own bodies, that they are somehow bad. They don't want people to see that there's any remote number of people that feel the same way that they do. But it's kind of hard to hide, because there's kind of so many of them. And I don't know what turned out in Chicago today. From my understanding, the report that I had put out at least was accurate to some level. And there's going to be a fair amount of Chicago police officers without a job. Now, you know me, or maybe you don't, but I see this as a bittersweet thing. I think it's an absolute BS for anybody to be mandated to have to do this. This is ridiculous. But I have a hard time respecting individuals that have a hard time respecting me. So I have to include that, in all fairness, because that is how I feel. It is what it is. Piss on me enough, and I won't give a damn. I won't give a damn as you're standing there and urine. So that is what it is. Nonetheless, because my feelings aren't what's important, nonetheless, this spells trouble for the citizens of Chicago. Absolutely. Big trouble. It's great for the criminals. Absolutely great for the criminals. And I'm talking about the street criminals, not the high-rise criminals. I guess that's what we'll call them, the high-rise criminals, and then you got the street criminals. It's great news for the street criminals and the high-rise criminals, to be honest. So it's great for all of them. However, any decent, normal, hard-working person, going to be much a different story. I don't know. If you live in a city, get out. And I know that might just sound, for one, random, but also kind of cold and like, yeah, okay, but how? I don't know how. You've got to figure that out. But I'm telling you, these cities are going to be a madhouse. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be most any city. I mean, any city of any size. I would venture to say, I would be concerned if any city that's, say, 25,000 or over, or 20,000 or over, I would be concerned. In fact, I don't know that I would much like anything larger than where we're at, which is under 9,000. I don't think I'd want anything larger myself. So, it's going to be a madhouse. It's going to be a madhouse. Because, like I said a while ago, this is just starting. We're at the very, 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 very forefront. I can't remember who it was that I was listening to today, but said something, was talking to the effect of these mandates. The only ones that are like in place, ready to go, and, an actual thing are the ones on the federal employees or federal contractors thing. From my understanding, this other one that involves people with businesses that have 100 employees or more, that's not a done deal yet. Those T's aren't crossed and I's aren't dotted yet. From my understanding, that's what I heard today. So, if that's the case, and you've got a lot of companies right now that haven't even really done anything with this, because again, if this is true and correct, that the T's aren't crossed and the I's aren't dotted, then what's going to happen when those T's do get crossed and the I's get dotted? Well, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Mass noncompliance by one entity or another, either by the company or by the company's employees, one of the two, but there's going to be mass noncompliance, I'm telling you. I firmly believe that we can learn something, pardon me, by the Chicago police and by the Washington State Troopers. I firmly believe that there is a lesson to be learned in that. I'm not a fan of law enforcement. Anybody that's been around here knows that. But there is one thing that's for certain. Law enforcement officers are proud of what they do. That's a fact. Why would they want to give that up? I mean, as much as I disagree with it, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're all bad apples, but let's not be foolish here. Why would they want to give that up? So if you've got so many of these law enforcement officials ready to walk away from that job, what do you think that says about the average citizen that's working somewhere either in the healthcare, food service, retail, whatever industry? Because I guarantee you something, most of the people in those other industries aren't as proud about what they do as what those law enforcement officers were. And I'm just telling you this because as far as human behavioral psychology goes, you're much more likely going to have non-compliance from all these other industries than what you are from the law enforcement. So to narrow down what I'm saying, to summarize what I'm getting at, the non-compliance is going to be much greater in the average populace than what it is in the law enforcement field. Just my thoughts. So if you're seeing, let's say 40% non-compliance with law enforcement, you can probably expect to see 50 to 60% non-compliance in just your general fields. Just my guesses, but I think they have a solid base. Let me have a sip of coffee. But then, we've got so many different angles and parts to this, it's unreal. And we have to consider as many of them as we can think of because they're all important. I think that as a result of all of this, I think there's going to be a huge increase in crime. For obvious reasons and, even more obvious reasons, I guess. People are going to need to eat. People are going to need to survive. Some people are going to be angry. I think there's going to be some pretty crazy things happening in the near future. I think that it's very likely that we're going to see a very large uptick in workplace violence. I shudder to think of how that could play a role as a result of these mandates. You have to understand here, some of these people, you're taking their lives away from them. They have built up their entire life. They've found what they consider peace and joy in their life. Now, in my opinion, peace and joy can only be provided by one thing and one thing only, and that's the Father. However, for most people, that's not going to cut it. For their peace and joy, they need that boat, they need that whatever. Right? And you've got a lot of people in this country that have achieved a rather nice life because they've worked hard for it. I'm not going to doubt that or say anything against that. I think that's the way it should be. But they are right now involved with all kinds of different payments. You know, they're paying for the boat, their house mortgage, their vacation home. You know, they've got all these different things. I know, most of you may not, but there are a fair amount of people out there that are in these positions that actually have those things. Multiple homes and toys. And that's fine. They worked hard for it. But there's a whole lot of people that are about to lose all of that stuff as a result of these mandates. Because, see, as I've been reporting for ever since I noticed it, this really doesn't span political lines as much as what the media wants you to think. It really doesn't. I'm telling you, I know a lot of people on the left that are completely against these mandates. And the majority of them are against the thing being mandated as well. So I think we're getting snookered in many ways when it comes to the media as far as what they want us to think and what's truly the case, especially when it comes to the average public opinion about this matter. But back to what I was saying. You have people from these, you know, decent walks of life that are now going to be not you know, just losing everything that they've worked so hard for. But now they're actually going to be in a position to where they're struggling, where they're fighting to figure out how they're going to feed their family. That doesn't do well to the human psyche. And I'm telling you, there are going to be a lot of individuals in this situation that are going to go into mental crisis mode. And when that happens, that's when you're going to see workplace violence and things of the such. But back to the title of the show and the question at hand, which war comes first? Yeah, I'm still thinking the domestic one. But I also still think that we're going to deal with both. I don't think either one of them is too far off. But I do think the domestic one is going to kick off first. In fact, I could see where it would be of a massive strategic benefit for another nation to kick back and wait until that starts to happen first. Massive benefit. I should say benefits, because they can play that like you wouldn't believe. China could shut the lights out, blame it on the U.S. government, doing it to the American people, you know, have a whole big propaganda campaign. and appear to come to the aid of the... I'm just, red dawning this to you, so to speak. It's not beyond countries to do that kind of stuff. Win the hearts and minds of the people. Happens. But the answer is still the same. I keep telling folks that the answer is still the same for you and I. And that is, keep getting ready. Don't freak out. Don't let it stress you out. I don't think this is going to be, for the most part, something that is quickly overcoming. I think we're slowly, and I think it's been evident for the last 2 years, we're slowly going into this SHTF. I do think that there's going to be some absolute cliff moments, and I think we're probably getting pretty close to one or two. But just continue getting ready, relax, and stay positive. If I started asking what if questions, I would drive myself crazy. Like I said last night on the show, we don't have stuff to deal with a radiological threat. Not even to start with. We have no iodine tablets, no gas masks. We have nothing for radiological threats. And I could walk around and drive myself insane going, what if, what if, what if, what if? You know how many times I've asked myself, what if? 0. Because I can't do nothing about it right now anyway. What in the hell is pestering myself with a bunch of what ifs gonna do? Nothing. Give me anxiety. Cause me confusion. Cause me fear. Nothing good. Nothing productive. So I'm not gonna even begin. And if you were taking notes on last night's show, I don't think that that's our first immediate threat anyway. So it's not what I would be going what if about. And if you were to ask me how many times I've asked myself today, what if we lose power and heat as a result of losing power? If you ask me how many times I've asked myself that question today, I'd be lying to tell you 0. Because probably once or twice. But I don't dwell on it. I don't worry myself to death over it. I don't fret on it. You know what I do? I turn it into productivity. Let me tell you what I did today. So the times that I started to think about that, about the heat thing and how I'm going to come up with the money to be able to get one of these heaters. When I started thinking about it, instead of what ifing myself to death and causing myself anxiety, I pulled up a video on the units, on learning more about the units, how to maintain them, take care of them, little tips and tricks with them and stuff like that, and educated myself even further on the devices. And the reason why I did that is because I have full faith in the Father that opportunities will come my way that we'll be able to get one. And when it happens, I will already have the knowledge that I need to know to properly, run, operate, and maintain the unit. And again, I've got experience from back when I was a hydraulics mechanic, and the used oil heater, motor oil heater that we had at the shop at the hydraulics place. I'm the one that had to keep it running. If I wanted heat, I had to keep the stupid thing running. And so I've got a little experience with those types of heaters. Not a big deal. But that's what I do. I turn it around. When I start thinking about these things, I don't let it cause me worry. I turn it around and I use it to try to be productive in some way, even if it's learning. Actually, learning is quite productive. And it's something that most any of us can do at any time, yet surprisingly so few actually do. And I do think that if people would turn their fear and anxiety into learning, they'd feel a lot better about all of it. Not just about the situation, but about themselves as well. So it's like exercise, right? Except it's mental exercise. Not really any different though. Still feel better after you do a little bit of it. Have a sip of coffee here. But I don't have anything really to talk about. I think we'll probably roll into the headlines and make it kind of a simple night. I kind of tired today, so I actually had a real teeny short nap before the show. So my neck was killing me, so I reclined my chair here and kicked back, and I think I dozed off just for a moment, not very long, but long enough to wake up more tired than what I was. You know how it goes. Oh man. Fun times. I can't encourage folks enough. Get ready. Get ready. I do think it's going to be a very long, hard winter. I hope I'm wrong. But every single indicator that I'm looking at, I don't think I am. Yeah, I have a few vapes here and I haven't been messing with hooking my tablet up for the show to my other input here. That's what I can play sound effects and noises with and all that. I've got it on a little soundboard on my tablet. But I haven't been messing with hooking it up. I only got 3 sounds in there at this time anyway, so I got to come up with several good sounds. Not that I'm going to overuse it, but it'd be fun here and there. Alright. Switch on over here. Alright, and they are all from today. All of them I put out this morning, none from last night. So, alright, I guess let's do this like a band-aid and rip it off and go home crying. Let's see. Blow to U.S. strategic... I hate when I read those statements. Chinese media fuels suspense over hypersonic... Maybe I'm not good at this tonight. Starting over. Chinese media fuels suspense over hypersonic missile that circled globe to hit target. China's GDP growth slumps as real estate and energy crisis takes toll. Facebook to hire 10,000 right people in the EU to realize its vision of metaverse. Online hate UK MP's face is out of control, Rehab warns in wake of David Amess fatal stabbing. First line of Nord Stream 2 pipeline filled with gas, ready for export, says the operator. The word spooky has been banned as a racial slur by the National Theatre of Scotland ahead of Halloween, although no one complained about it. So you can't say spooky now, I guess in Scotland, in the theater, because it's racist. You know what? I'm surprised they haven't banned pumpkins from Halloween. You know why? Because they're orange. Orange. Just like Orange Man. I'm surprised that they haven't banned pumpkins. Oh, I shouldn't have said anything. I'll be reporting on that tomorrow. Let's see. Ukraine joining NATO would be worst case scenario for Moscow. Response would involve active measures, says the Kremlin. That sounds to me like a physical threat. Oil prices hit highest levels in years as post-COVID demand continues recovery. Convenient and inexpensive way to space travel, China responds to reports of hypersonic missile launch that apparently shocked the U.S. So China is claiming that it was, to further them in space. I mean, they have to counter our Space Force. Yeah, I'm not buying it. I think it was missile technology, too. Let's see. UK's new post-Brexit Global Fund is a front for meddling in Russia's politics, a leaked document reveals. About turn from Germany's Green Party as co-leader calls for Berlin to immediately negotiate increased gas supply from Moscow. UK faces terrorist attacks by bedroom radicals drawn to extremist online content during COVID lockdowns, a security expert warns. Tokyo must stop and listen to the world, says Beijing, as Japan's PM claims Fukushima wastewater release into ocean cannot wait. It can't wait. You have to poison the oceans immediately. Right now. Iran has not boycotted return to... let me try that again. I believe I said it like it's written. Iran has not boycotted return to nuclear negotiations. West must first fulfill its obligations, says a Tehran spokesman. I'm just not good at headlining tonight. Gazprom's exports of natural gas approaching historic highs. Russia to suspend diplomatic ties with NATO from November, with U.S.-led military blocks Moscow's mission ordered to close, says Efim Lavrov. I told you, I'm kind of sucking tonight. Former U.S. Secretary of State Colin Powell has died due to COVID-19 complications. Alleged killers of Dutch crime reporter De Vries goes on trial for his brutal broad daylight murder. EU becomes largest COVID vaccine exporter, shipping over 1 billion doses worldwide. German diesel prices climbed to all-time high amid European energy crunch. U.S. democracy declining because Americans have lost faith in their elites, says Moscow. Russia isn't trying to divide Europe, but prefers to deal with sovereign states directly rather than engaging with blocs, says the Kremlin. German FM Maas slams Belarus Lukashenko as migrant situation on EU border deteriorates. European gas prices surged 20% after cooling down to $980 per 1,000 cubic meters. Global shipping chaos to last for another 18 months as UK port works flat out to clear congestion, a shipping firm warns. I mean, isn't this amazing? How globally we can have so many problems with the ports. Isn't that amazing? I mean, it's not just LA, it's not just the United States. You know, it's certain nations that typically work together. Interesting, isn't that? I think it's real interesting. Man arrested over sending death threat to Labour MP after he pleaded for people to be kinder in the wake of David Amess murder. First Bitcoin futures ETF ready to debut on Wall Street. EU risks becoming centrally managed as dangerous phenomenon of institutional action threatens bloc's future, a Polish PM warns. Ukrainian opposition leader rejects Zelensky's suggestion to escape prosecution and leave for Moscow, denying he is Russian citizen. EMA greenlights new Pfizer-BioNTech manufacturing sites and COVID vaccine formula as it mulls extending jab for ages 5 to 11. Czech President Zeman unable to fulfill duties, Senate Speaker reveals as leader spends 8th day in intensive care. London bus stop ads in support of pro-BDS author criticized for promoting anti-Semitism. Italian riot police fire tear gas, water cannons at anti-COVID health pass protesters blocking Trieste port. And I'm sure I probably pronounced that wrong. Southwest Airlines workers protest against COVID-19 vaccine mandate outside firm's headquarters. Wait a minute. I thought there wasn't any employees protesting this. I thought Biden administration calls for SCOTUS to block Texas anti-abortion law, says a court filing. Far-right anti-LGBT group Male State banned in Russia after court brands group extremist amid string of harassment campaigns. 9 UK schools tell school kids to pay for lunch via facial recognition as opponents warn it normalizes surveillance state. Yeah, I'm not good with this whole biometric, no. I mean, come on. While Bush and Biden praised the late Colin Powell war criminal, trends on Twitter, and I really wasn't surprised with that. World is bigger than 5. Turkey's Erdogan slams a handful of World War II victors ruling the globe during whirlwind tour of Africa. Google doesn't like being shown inconvenient problems. An ex-ethical AI co-lead fired by the tech giant over her research, tells RT. £19,000 a year private school adopts new BLM-inspired class on white privilege with lessons on Meghan Markle's royal experience. Being woke with Meghan. Gender baptism is not biblical. Christian couple seeking to sue UK government over school guidelines blast trans indoctrination. Telegram CEO Durov purges Snowden impersonator after NSA whistleblower Twitter's tirade. U.S. envoy to Afghanistan Khalilzad resigns amid reports of upcoming State Department probe into botched Kabul withdrawal operation. There we go. That's it. There wasn't like a ton of headlines today. It was a pretty lax day, to be honest. I have a feeling, I mean, don't get me wrong, there were some bumps today. Even some bumps that I didn't cover in the headlines. But I think that tomorrow is going to be significant. So, and I've been pretty accurate on this, especially in the past few months. And I think tomorrow's going to be another doozy. So, calm before the storm, if you will. But I think tomorrow we're going to start hearing about a lot of things coming out. I think we're probably going to find out a fair amount of information on Chicago tomorrow, too, as to what happened with that. I have a feeling that's going to be much more public. But we'll see. I'm going to get out of here and chillax for the rest of the evening. I can't wait to go to bed. I'm just tired. So anyway, I appreciate you all coming. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow, and I hope to see you then. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit, and shalom.